Just a few weeks ago, I made an entire video discussing the terror of Doflamingo and why he is my favorite villain so far in One Piece. But little did I know that the next major arc, Whole Cake Island, would offer up another fantastic villain, but one that is very different from the previously mentioned Doflamingo. Katakuri is the third child of Big Mom, one of the 4 emperors of the sea. While being one of her oldest children, he is also the most powerful, accruing a bounty of over 1 billion berries. He is known as the perfect child for his strength, winning streak, and the fact that he never falls on his back. And then he faces Luffy at the end of the arc, being the perfect cap to an already amazing self-contained story in Whole Cake Island. I would argue that Whole Cake Island has some of the tightest storytelling in all of One Piece. Everything in the arc seems to either set up later events or pay off something from earlier in the story. The best example of this is when Sanji brings Luffy food in the middle of the arc. First, you have 2 payoffs in this moment. Sanji brings food to Luffy just like he did for his mother when he was a kid, but also a payoff for Sanji bringing food to someone who is starving, like his true father did when they were stranded on an island. But this moment also foreshadows moments later in the arc. In the same way that Luffy is depleted and starving, Big Mom will do the same in the story's climax. Not to mention the humorous foreshadowing that Luffy's main fight in this arc is literally with food, as of course Katakuri is made of mochi. Katakuri also isn't even introduced until chapter 860, which is far later than someone like Doflamingo, who was introduced in his arc right from the beginning. And it isn't even apparent that Luffy's big fight will be with Katakuri until far after the failed assassination attempt on Big Mom. But when Katakuri and Luffy do start to fight, the contest isn't even close. Katakuri is by far stronger and is winning the fight easily. So easily that he underestimates Luffy's drive and will to succeed, something that is also shown with the moment where Sanji brings Luffy food. Katakuri not only overwhelms Luffy with his power, but he also has the ideology of a person who never falls. With his mochi power, in many ways Katakuri is the literal mirror to Luffy. Which is also perfect because this fight is staged in the mirror world. Katakuri being someone who never falls, but Luffy being someone who always gets back up. As the fight moves forward, we start to learn more about Katakuri as a person. Katakuri doesn't really seem to fit into the hierarchy of Big Mom's crew like the other children Big Mom has. The character designs of Big Mom's other children are far lighter and represent the outside of the larger Whole Cake Island. At first, Whole Cake Island seems like this goofy paradise, and Big Mom, while having some fits of rage, seems like she is a pretty good leader. But the more of Big Mom that we see, the more corruption and terror we find out. This other side of Big Mom being shown through the harsh exterior of Katakuri, Big Mom's strongest child. Katakuri is known for being the perfect child, a ruthless killer who never loses. Katakuri is this dark presence within the lighter world of the Big Mom pirates. But just like Big Mom, who has a dark terror lying under the surface, Katakuri has an immense amount of kindness under the facade of the perfect killer. Growing up, Katakuri was made fun of because of the way his mouth looked. This not only creates lifelong insecurity to where Katakuri goes to great lengths not to eat food in front of anyone, but creates this hard exterior where the only way that he can protect himself and his family from getting bullied is by making sure that he is stronger than everyone he meets. And then we get an incredible conflict between Luffy and Katakuri that plays out in its own amazing self-contained story that echoes the larger themes of Whole Cake Island. I honestly think this is my favorite fight in the entire series. It has the perfect mix of character development, payoff from earlier in the arc, life-threatening stakes, and of course, great and interesting choreography. I would say the major exploration in Whole Cake Island is who you are outside of your family. Sanji wants nothing to do with the family that he was born into, but he also can't escape the reality of who he is. What are the differences between who you are inside of your family and who you are when you leave them? And Katakuri is the saddest example of this. A person who is forced to be someone he isn't for the sake of his family. After Katakuri overestimates Luffy, he then leaves to eat, something that he never does in front of anyone. But when Luffy breaks through and everyone sees him eating and laying on his back, the illusion of the perfect person is gone. Katakuri is a person who was scorned by the way his peers and family treated him when he was a kid. Katakuri tries to live up to the ideal of a perfect person that never really existed, and at the same time being the perfect foil to Luffy in this moment. Luffy still has a long way to go if he's going to be the king of the pirates, but the one aspect that he has always had is the ability to get people on his side, with his ability to get back up. Luffy would not stay down, and because of that, Katakuri ended up seeing Luffy for who he really is. For Katakuri, he leaves the fight with a different emotional outlook on life. Katakuri coming to the conclusion that the way he has decided to live his life, a life that is untrue to who he really is, should be shifted. For years, Katakuri has endured a beating for the sake of his siblings, in the same way that Luffy endured a beating for Sanji against Katakuri. And hopefully that is enough to make Katakuri be able to show everyone who he truly is. For me at least, Katakuri's story rang so true. His whole life he has hidden who he truly is for the sake of others, a noble cause but one that also breaks my heart. I'm not really sure what is next for Katakuri in the larger story of One Piece. He doesn't have the ominous feeling at the end of the arc that Doflamingo did, nor does he have the influence of characters like Sakazuki or Blackbeard. Of course, Katakuri is only the second in command to the Big Mom Pirates, but I don't think his role so far in the story can be understated. Even though he has only been a relatively small portion in the big picture of One Piece, I think having Katakuri be the final villain of Whole Cake Island was perfect. Katakuri is going to be a driving force for Luffy in the future, but he was also the perfect cap for the Whole Cake Island arc, showing what it is like to live a lie for your family. Katakuri was involved in maybe my favorite fight in the entire series, and even though I'm not sure what is next for him, I still think his role so far in the story has been brilliant. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. The more I think about Whole Cake Island, the more I actually like it, and I think when I look back after catching up to the series on the entirety of all the arcs, it could be my second favorite arc, and a huge reason for that is Katakuri. I think his role in the story is perfect. I think he fits this arc so well. What are your guys' thoughts on Katakuri? Did you think he was the perfect villain for Whole Cake Island? You know, I think if there was a villain that pulled too much away from Big Mom, it would have affected the arc negatively. But I also think we were given enough for Katakuri to be invested in him, to be invested in the fight that he's in with Luffy, and he's the perfect match. And this is just one of my favorite arcs in One Piece and probably ever. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of Katakuri. Make sure you check out my One Piece vlog next week, as I will finally be catching up to One Piece, and I'll be talking about my journey, so it should be a pretty fun episode. So make sure you check that out, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.